We're just ending our day in the lab, so we're going to answer some common questions we get about what we do and why it's important. And this is Andy. He is the co-founder and the vice president of Smokenol, and he's going to answer all of the questions that people might have.
Okay. Well, Hello. All right, first question. What is Smokenol? Smokenol is a cannabis smoke extract, which might sound, pretty obvious what it is, but it's actually not that obvious to a lot of people. So I'll explain it. The purpose of why we did this was to capture what you would get from smoking and be able to put it into other things. So the differences between edibles and smoking, as a lot of you might feel the difference, is, absorption and metabolism. One's going through your liver and small intestines, and there's metabolism going on, and then one's going in through your lungs, and it's kicking in really quickly. There's a third reason that no one ever talks about. It's that the extremely high heat that we use for vaporizing, dabbing, and smoking is transforming all of the chemical compounds in the input material into a huge variety of other compounds.
So most cannabis extracts are extracted from the raw flower. So it's just the plant that's growing. It's probably dried and it's cured, and then that's going to be extracted. And whatever that plant, the profile, what that plant is making, that's what's going to end up in the extract. But as Andy's saying, that's not exactly a representative of how you feel when you're smoking, because those molecules are changing when they're exposed to heat. And we know this just from our everyday lives. Like if you're cooking onions, if you're burning wood, heat changes everything.
All right, what's another question that we've been asked a million times? What do you do with it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, for manufacturers, this is a common question. What do I do with the Smokenol? Well, it's an extract. It looks very similar in its crude form to like an ethanol extract or something like this. Post-processing, there's a variety of different filtrations that you could do, or distillation, things like that, to clean it up or make it a little bit more user-friendly. But it's an extract. It can be put into all the things that a regular extract would be put into: tinctures, topicals, edibles, vape carts, infused pre-rolls, you name it. In fact, our message is, our trademark is "We smoked it for you," so that you don't have to. That was the original one. It was a little long. But, the purpose there would be two things. For the medical side of things, the community of people that prefer to smoke but that can't smoke or have real concerns about their lung health or respiratory conditions, there's a lot of them. Now those people could have an option where they could eat something, for example, that would achieve the same chemical composition that they could only get from smoking. And on the adult use side, the exciting pitch there for this extract that could be put into things, which could include vapes, of course, by the way, is that, you don't really see strain-specific effects from edibles generally. And there's a reason for that. If you're extracting what's in the plant, that is not the same as what you're going to get in the smoke. So with our method, you can actually selectively capture that chemical composition, that strain fingerprint, we'll call it, from the smoke of your favorite strain of choice, and now deliver that into edible format or something else that you could eat or consume that will have that profile from the strain-specific effect that you get from smoking.
So as we're kind of talking about here, the entire goal of this process is to make an extract that feels more like smoking, because everyone on our team prefers smoking, and most people do, over other consumption methods like edibles. It's just not the same. So we're trying to make an extract that feels more like smoking when you put it into different product types. I think we should also explain kind of what the process is a little more, because it's really, really interesting, and it's a little hard to conceptualize unless you either see it or talk about it.
And before we get to that, something else that we come up against quite often when we're talking to people is, not just why did we come up with this, but, what does this do for a business or for the industry? And when we look at global sales, international, local, doesn't matter, statewide, when you look at sales in cannabis, a large majority of revenue is coming from smokable, inhalable products, something close to 80%. If you look at consumer preference surveys or just ask people in your life, generally you're going to look at 75+% of people across the board are going to prefer those effects of smoking. So what we're saying is you can deliver that chemical profile that people are preferring to consume into these other products so that you can create other products that will have those effects. So, from a business perspective, that's an opportunity to create an entire new category of products that would address this huge market share of people that prefer, this chemical profile that they didn't even really know they were consuming.
we'll briefly talk about like what these transformations, what this chemical profile, what is different about something that's heated versus something that's not. I'll give 2 examples, but there's so many more. The first example is probably the most common that people talk about, and this is THC partially converting to CBN during the heating process. So CBN is thought of as like a degradation product, and that word kind of has a negative connotation, but we think of it in a very positive light. We think of it as producing unique chemistry and unique pharmacology in our body. But we have THC that's converting to CBN. There's another really cool one that I've recently been a little obsessed with, and that's CBC converting to CBL. But every single molecule in that plant is not just converting to one thing, it's converting to a variety of different things. So a lot of these are very difficult to profile because we don't have standards for a lot of these molecules because they're in such low quantities. But the chemistry is just so interesting of a smoked extract versus a raw extract. And both have a space in the cannabis industry, and they're really nice when you marry them together too.
Okay, so here's a question. How do we do it? Common question, very common question, because I think it seems and sounds like it's a lot more complicated than it is. We've had some videos on Instagram in the past, maybe we'll bring them back, of smoke in an oven, right? We're using ovens. We're using vacuum ovens and pumps, and we have a special filter that we've designed that goes on the back of an oven, between a pump and an oven. We create higher temperatures to create smoke and vapor. We're using parameters that are designed specifically to avoid the creation of certain unwanted byproducts, and then the filter itself is going to selectively capture things out of the smoke, so you will see smoke pass through the filter. So we recommend, if you're going to do it, shout out to the person who made a funny video on YouTube assuming that we just use a cold trap, but
don't follow that protocol.
Don't do that, but definitely do use a cold trap all the time when you're doing anything because you want to protect your pumps. But yeah, it's as simple as it sounds. We literally fill ovens with plant material or any kind of input material that could be smokable, and we crank those temperatures up to create that vapor and smoke, suck it through the filter, remove it from the filter, and what you have is a crude extract that's activated, decarboxylated, ready to go.
We do recommend people distill the product. We definitely do. And another common question I think we get is if we make products with this process. We do make products. They are made with hemp, so they are CBD dominant, but still have the minor and rare compounds that are produced at high temperatures. We sell those at profoundnaturals.com. We sell topicals and tinctures, so definitely check those out. But we also license this process to other people who want to make smoke extracts. So we really want to make this accessible. It's a low barrier to entry. So we're hoping to see more and more people developing, Smokenol smoke extracts on the market. And also the purpose of this YouTube video is to also just start the conversation. So if you have other questions about the process or want to ask us something about our products, definitely just comment on this video and we'll continue making videos and answer more questions and just keep talking about it.
I'm just rattling off questions in my own head now as we're talking about this. But when I hear this is something that we talk about a lot, and I see people online talking about, the value and or on the contrary, why you might not be interested in distillates anymore, because now we have full spectrum extracts. We've got live resin, live rosin, a whole slew of different kinds of products out there that are in some ways more interesting than a distillate. When we do this distillation, we try to keep the parameters extremely wide to capture and concentrate the minor and rare cannabinoids that we're most interested in, that come in the highest concentrations. We're not purifying for just CBN or just CBD or just THC or anything in the middle. It's really still got an enormous variety of cannabinoids in it. It's just in a much more approachable and usable fashion to be in that form rather than in a crude extract form.
Is there anything else we want to include on this video?
Manufacturers, call us today.
Hit us up.
Yeah, we're really easy to work with. We're fun. We like to party.
Yeah. So
we smoked it for you.
We smoked it for you.